And now we are trying to see what follows in the Epic of Savitri. Roughly, just we are not taking a study or making a rough outline of the whole epic. And we might now pursue some aspect which is less serious in the sense that it doesn't deal with any problem of life, because Savitri does deal, as we saw before, about the whether world is a mechanical determinism which is irresistible and which must have its way, and the consciousness of man has no say in it. That was one problem, as we saw. It also concerns itself with the evolution of man from his natural self to his true being or to his spirit, and then realization of the spirit leading him to a widening of his true being, which equates him to the cosmos, to the universal consciousness, to the universal being, marching through all the planes which obtain their counterpart in his nature, and then leading him to a divine consciousness where he is able to take the whole of human aspiration and put it before the divine so as to pray to the divine for a help, an emanation to be sent down to mankind in order to solve the problem of man's ignorance and subjection to death. This boon is granted. So the human soul, as I told you yesterday, is that he gets the self-knowledge from within, the world knowledge around, and God knowledge from above. The three. And all the three positions are the positions of one omnipresent reality. It is one reality which is present in all the stages. And Ashwapati realizes this and gets the boon for mankind, for humanity, so that the Supreme Mother sends an emanation of herself as Savitri, the daughter of King Ashwapati, to save mankind from ignorance and death. That is where we were. Now we go a little further. The further problem that arises is, as we cursorily touched upon it yesterday, was the problem of pain. Why, if there is an omnipresent reality at work, a supreme wisdom and a grace managing the cosmos, then why is there place for pain and suffering in life? And Savitri has chosen Satyavan for her husband, and he is fated to die 1 year after. So, the mother of Savitri is putting this question to Narada, the great divine sage, as to why the arrangement of the world is such that most innocent person is subjected to unmerited suffering. This problem arises as to why is there pain? Who created this pain? Now, to these many questions, many answers have been already given in the world's growth up till now. Somebody said that this world will always remain imperfect and subject to suffering and death or pain. This is the constitution of the world and you cannot change it. That is one answer. Second answer given is, well, there is a mechanism. Buddhism gave second answer, that it is there and it's due to karma, action and reaction. And action and reaction is such that when you subject yourself to desire and impulses, it will always have the reaction of suffering thrown upon you. Therefore, the best thing is to get out of it. You see, that's another escape suggested. Escape is that the scheme will be like that. So best is not to bother about it. You get out of it. That's all. You try to escape. Leave desire, give up desires. Don't try to be, subject to this force of possession and acquisition and so on. Give it up, and you will gradually retire into perhaps a state in which being itself ceases to exist. At least pain will not be there. That is the solution that is given. Now, here is another solution that is being given to us, and a more integral and a more, satisfying solution in the sense that it explains to us why, given an omnipresent reality, given a divine being who works and is the cosmos, why is there the possibility of pain in it? Well, there you get an explanation, and that is why I think that it's a more satisfying and integral reply to man's question about the place of pain and origin of pain, the two, you see. Now, why pain at all? That question is being because who created pain? And the answer in Savitri is, thou thyself art the author of thy pain. Thou thyself art the author of thy pain. So that I am giving you roughly the answer now. We will work it out. When you read the poem, you will get the full answer. But he is giving you answer in a nutshell. And secondly, is there destiny? Destiny in the sense of, well, something that must happen, fate. Fate. Is it fated? Are things fated which cannot be avoided? Just as on one side there is doom, suffering and death and, the consequence of ignorance. Is there any fate, a determination by higher powers, by powers beyond man's control, who have fixed what must happen? So that not a lower determination but a higher determination. Is there such a higher determination? Is the destiny at work? And can the divine be activated in human situations? Because the fifth book, the title of the book is The Destined Meeting Place. You see, the title of the fifth book where Savitri meets Satyavan is The Destined Meeting Place. It explains partly the place of what people call fate or destiny. You see, if an omnipresent reality is working, above it knows everything. You will say it is aware of all things. Yes, quite right. In the lower, well, it surcharges the, what you call the compelling stuff of things. The omniscient works in the compelling stuff of things. It works there. There it works with knowledge, and here the stuff is made to subject to a compulsion where it seems to act automatically, but it really gives, obeys the behest of the omniscient and omnipotent. The two positions in which the omniscient works is a position in knowledge where everything is known, and a position in which nothing is known and still things are determined by the presence of the omniscient and omnipresent in this compelling stuff of things. You see, a flower or a seed is compelled to become what it has to become. There is no choice given to it. Is there such a fate, such a thing as fate? Well, now these questions we'll try to see whether today we can make some headway with it, you see, because so far as the problem of even pain is concerned, as we just now I told you that there are various answers. Universe, who is responsible for pain? Is it karma? Is the escape a solution out of it? And then if you say that escape is the only solution, then you'll have to say mind is the only reality. If you accept the solution that karma is the machinery responsible for suffering or pain to man, then the only answer for metaphysical position you will have to take will be that mind is the only reality in the world, that man is a mental being, and that in the universe the process of evolution has led, if at all it has led, to mental consciousness, and there is nothing more than mind at work in the cosmos. Well, in that case only that solution can be satisfying. Whether that is so is another question. And these many saints and incarnations and philosophers have tackled this problem, you see, of pain, why and wherefore and the remedy. And because pain is not only on one level, on the physical body there is pain, subjection to disease and weakness and fatigue and illnesses and so on. On the collective life you find, this problem of pain is infliction of pain in the whole record of human history. If you study history, there is war and death and pestilence and killing and murder and all kinds of ills. So that there is pain on the collective life, you see. The area of pain is rather large enough. And why did the Eternal do this thing? If you say that there is an omnipresent reality that is at work, then why did he do? Was he compelled? That's how the question will arise. And is there a reality really behind this whole process? Or is it an illusion, all that we experience even as pleasure and pain and escape? Could we end in agnosticism? That nothing is there, after all you cannot know. There is an unknowable, at work, and all processes are blind man's buff. You simply go and hit in the dark and you say this is the solution. What was the utility and need of pain in the cosmic scheme of things? This is how Narada looks at the problem, and Narada gives answer to this as a divine representative of knowledge. He says, he first of all makes an impersonal statement about pain because he is not subject to pain. Narada is not subject to pain, and he sees from his higher status the place of pain in life of man. And he then puts the condition for changing or conquering or removing pain from the scheme of life. And he gives one instance while talking to Savitri's mother that even world saviors had to to admit the necessity of pain, because unless and until the working of cosmic scheme is gone through by the Creator himself in some form or other, The solution of problem cannot be given by the divine to man. And the Narada at the end of the whole discourse says him that it's you who have selected and chosen this scheme of pain, that is one, and pain is the distribution, you say, is the distortion rather, or perversion of an all-pervading delight. An all-pervading delight is there which is felt by man as pain when it is perverted or changed and distorted. And why has the immortal chosen this particular hazard? And that explanation we'll perhaps see when we come to the detail of the problem. Now, before we go into this problem of suffering and so on, which is not very pleasant, we go through some pleasant problems so that we can have some delight. Now, he is describing Savitri now is going from her house to choose, because her father Ashwapati has told her that your destiny is there and you have your own. You see, some unknown spirit born his child. That is how he saw her. It's a very fine description of Savitri's approach, which I have given in my appendix to the study and approach, appendix. But there you will find that Savitri is going, and she is going, when she is going, seasons are passing when she travels. And there is one canto, fourth book, first canto, which is description of the seasons, you see. And we won't read the whole. I'll read only the description of spring so that you may understand how so many poets have described seasons or the exuberance of nature, is it not? Now, all that if you read here, it's a study by itself. A study of nature as to how from the height beyond mind, one sees the operation of what appears to be inconscient nature, you see. Well, I would like you to read it yourself because it is best you approach it as a whole. I will only read the part of the description of spring, some selection, few lines from the description of spring. Then spring, the ardent lover, leaped through leaves. He leaped through leaves and caught the earth bride in his eager clasp. His advent was a fire of irised hues. His arms were the circle of the arrival of joy. Impatient of felicity he came. He is describing spring. Impatient of felicity he came, high fluting with the coil's happy voice. His peacock turban trailing on the trees. His breath was a warm summons to delight. The breath of spring was a warm summons to delight. A godlike packed intensity of sense, a godlike packed intensity of sense made it a passionate pleasure even to breathe. All sight and voices wove a single charm. The life of the enchanted globe became a storm of sweetness and of light and song, a revel of color and of ecstasy, a hymn of rays, a litany of cries, a strain of choral priestly music sang and swung on the swaying censer of the trees. A sacrifice of perfume filled the hours. Ashokas burnt in crimson spots of flame, pure like the breath of an unstinted desire. White jasmines haunted the enamored air. Pale mango blossoms fed the liquid voice of love-maddened coil, and the brown bee muttered in fragrance mid the honey bud. The sunlight was a great god's golden smile. All nature was at beauty's festival. Yes. You see, that is spring. Well, you get some idea of how beauty can be seen from above and brought into poetic expression, you see. Then she has to go to the call of the quest. And Savitri grows up as a young girl and she grows up and then she finds no companions quite fit to, deserve her intimacy. She meets many groups of people, individuals. Some are nice, some look up to her as her guide, some come up to her a little, some have such demands that she cannot meet them on human plane, and all different kinds of associations take place around her in her infancy and in her adolescence, but she finds nobody who can be fit for her companion, so to say, one to whom she can be completely intimate. And at the end of the whole thing, the poet says, whoever is too great must lonely live. Whoever is too great must lonely live. Adored he walks in mighty solitude. Vain is his labor to create his kin. His only comrade is the strength within. Yes, that is perhaps quite true, I think. And then she goes out on traveling. You see, she goes traveling, choosing passing through different countries, and there you find description of, various departments of culture of life and of men, and, you see, the quest has begun, and she is out in the quest. And going through quest, she passes through temples and hamlets and cities and, capitals of kings and so on, and then goes through various, ashrams, means hermitages of people who have realized the truth and so on. You see, some of the people whom she met during her course of travel, a few fit inhabitants she called to share the glad communion of her peace. Strong king sages from the labor done, freed from the warrior tension of their task, came to her serene sessions in these wilds. In this forest grove, some kings retired from their kingship and came and lived in the peace, you see. Happy they lived with birds and beasts and flowers and sunlight and the rustle of leaves, and heard the wild winds wandering in the night, mused with the stars in their mute constant ranks, and lodged in the mornings as in azure tents, and with the glory of the noons were one. These people who lived in retirement, they sojourned with the ever-living bliss. A voice profound in ecstasy and hush they heard, beheld the all-revealing light. Then there were others, nameless and austere ascetics, without home, abandoning speech and motion and desire, aloof from creatures set absorbed, alone, immaculate in tranquil heights of self, on concentration's luminous voiceless peaks, world-naked hermits with their matted hair, immobile as the passionless great hills around them, grouped like thoughts of some vast mood, awaiting the infinite's behest to end. Well, there were several types. This is only one or two types that you can see. Then she goes to the place where they were destined to meet, you see, and she passes to the destined meeting place, and they actually meet. Now we will read some passages where the meeting takes place between Satyavan and Savitri, so as to give some idea of the fifth book, you see. Satyavan is telling Savitri as to how he looks upon their meeting, you see. I plunged into the inner seeing mind. Satyavan says, I tried to read the human mind and knew the secret laws and sorceries that make of matter mind's bewildered slave. The mystery was not solved, but deepened more. I strove to find its hints through beauty and art. He says, I pursued beauty and art, but form cannot unveil the indwelling power. Only it throws its symbol at our hearts. It evoked a mood of self, invoked a sign of all the brooding glory hidden in sense. I lived in the ray but faced not to the sun. I looked upon the world and missed the self, And when I found the self, I lost the world. My other selves I lost, and the body of God, the link of the finite with the infinite, the bridge between appearance and the truth, the mystic aim of for which the world was made, the human sense of immortality. I could not get. Then he says, but now the gold link comes to me with thy feet, and his gold sun has shone on me from thy face. He is addressing Savitri now that I did try to get into depth of mind, profound secret of mental being, art and beauty and through life and through when self was dead, then the world was lost. When the world was dead, the self was forgotten and so on. His gold sun has shone on me from thy face, and now another realm draws near with thee, and now diviner voices fill my ear. A strange new world swims to me in thy gaze, approaching like a star from unknown heavens. A cry of spheres comes with thee, and a song of flaming gods. I draw a wealthier breath, and a fiercer march of moments move. My mind transfigures to a rapturous seer, a foam leap traveling from the waves of bliss has changed my heart and changed the earth around. All with thy coming fills, air, soil, and stream wear bridal raiments to be fit for thee, and sunlight grows a shadow of thy hue, because of the change within me by thy look. Ah, you see, yes. That is some expression of, you might, if you like to call it love poetry, but it is something not of this world, perhaps, yes. We will not take time over explaining that which is to be felt more than explained, you see. Now, well, perhaps it is good to go through this problem. Yes. Now, they have come, Savitri has selected Satyavan, and she is approaching her father's house, and there they are meeting, you see, and the problem of pain comes here in the second canto of the sixth book, where Savitri's mother addresses herself to Narada, this great divine sage, and asks him the question. Passionate like sorrow questioning heaven, she spoke. Passionate like sorrow questioning heaven, she spoke. Yes, the mother of Savitri. And then she says to him, by what pitiless adverse necessity, by what random accident or governed chance came the dire mystery of grief and pain? Is it thy God who made this cruel law? Or some disastrous power has marred his work, and he stands helpless to defend or save? The mother of Savitri is putting the question, you see. You can't put it more strongly, I think, in any language. the question that comes to human mind, well, I think it fine. What need had the soul of ignorance and tears? What power forced the immortal spirit to birth? And who persuaded it to fall from bliss, if you say that it was in bliss originally? Why is it all, and wherefore are we here? Perhaps the soul we feel is only a dream, eternal self a fiction sensed in trance. Savitri's mother is telling, Narada putting this question out here. Why is there this will to live? Is there at all a soul? And Narada then replies to her by putting the counter question. Was then the sun a dream because there is night? Narada's answer takes the form of a counter question. Was then the sun a dream because there is night? Hidden in the mortal's heart, the eternal lives. He lived secret in the chamber of thy soul. Thy grief is a cry of darkness to light. Pain is the hammer of God to break a dead resistance in the mortal's heart. Pain is the signature of ignorance, attesting the secret God denied by life. Until life finds him, pain can never end. Pain is the hand of nature sculpturing man to greatness. An inspired labor chisels with heavenly cruelty the unwilling mold. Thou art a vessel of the imprisoned spark. It seeks relief from time's envelopment, and while thou shuttest it in, the seal is pain. You get some idea of the pace of plane in the scheme of things. You see? Yes.
Thank you, Purani. What book is this? That's what it's verse specifically in the Dharma.
Yes, it is a sixth book, Canto 2. Sixth book, Canto 2. Then he goes further and explains that with pain and labor all creation comes. Even the God's messenger has to bear the law of pain and submit to the law of pain. When God's messenger comes to help the world, he too must bear the pang that he would heal. How shall he cure the ills he never felt? So that even if you don't see any pain outside, the battle is inside, because he represents, his by identity with mankind, he takes vicariously all the suffering of mankind on himself. You see, he may not have any personal suffering as people say or speak of pain or suffering or grief, but the grief is by his identity with the cosmic self. He gets all the grief of the human beings, all the humanity into himself, so that vicariously there is always suffering within him, even if you see that he is not having any personal, grief or cause for grief. The battle may be inside and not outside. You see, the hostility to the divine is the origin of this pain. Intangible forces are there, and when light penetrated into the abyss, well, the law of pain will change. Man is the architect of this problem of pain, because how did it come? You want to see? Well, he answered it by saying, yes. How did it originate? The answer is given to some extent in a poetic form. Thou art thyself the author of thy pain, because it is the immaterial, immortal self indeed that has chosen this negative infinity. There was at that time an attraction of the void, the grandeur of the abyss. And he says, it longed for the adventure of ignorance and the marvel and surprise of the unknown. There was ruin and glamour and accident and chance and hazard and victory and incertitude and companionship of souls and so many things, adventure in time. It is that which attracted the soul to take up, the plunge into the inconscience. A huge descent began, a giant fall. For what the spirit sees creates a truth. Thus came born from a blind, tremendous choice this great, perplexed and discontented world, this haunt of ignorance, this home of pain. There are pitched desires tent, grief's headquarters. A vast disguise conceals the eternal's bliss. The eternal's bliss is concealed here in this vast disguise. Then she asked the question, is it then fated that all things will remain like that and man will have only this circle of going round pain and suffering and so on? The answer is given also in this very book, sixth book. Fate is a balance drawn in Destiny's book. Man can accept his fate or he can refuse. For doom is not a close, a mystic seal. The spirit rises from suffering and defeat. It's a splendid failure sum up to victory. And then Narada addresses the human being. He is talking to the queen, but suddenly he addresses humanity. Narada replying to the queen, O man, the events that meet thee on thy road, though they smite thy body and soul with joy and grief, are not thy fate. They touch thee awhile and pass. O man, the events that meet thee on thy road, though they smite thy body and soul with joy and grief, are not thy fate. They touch thee awhile and pass. The goal is to reach the indwelling God. O soul, intruder in nature's ignorance, armed traveler to the unseen supernal heights, thy spirit's fate is a battle and ceaseless march against invisible opponent powers, a passage from matter into timeless self. The whole of human life has been such a march from inconscience to a growing light. Well, he is giving reply to the questions of Savitri's mother in this contest. And when Savitri has come in front of death and she has conquered death, so to say, and overcome the argument of the god of death, then she rises to the supernal level of consciousness of truth, the light, and a divine voice questions her there and asks her to seek an individual, escape or perfection or delight or merging or, a constant dwelling into the Supreme without bothering about the fate of mankind. And Savitri consistently, in more than 6 replies, every time confirms her will to bring the light to mankind, because that is the mission that is given to her. And she does not want even the promise given by the Supreme to take advantage of such a promise. She says, my mission is to bring this divine light to mankind and raise mankind to the divine height. That is how she puts it. So I'll read some portion of that. Earth is a chosen place of mightiest souls. Savitri is telling the divine. Well, why do you bother about the earth? So Savitri says, earth is a chosen place of mightiest souls. Earth is a heroic spirit's battlefield. Thy servitude on earth are greater, king, than all the liberties of heaven. She is replying to the Supreme, you see. Imperfect is a joy not shared by all. Savitri is telling the divine, remember. Imperfect is a joy not shared by all. Thy sweetness give me for earth and men. Now, perhaps it is better that I give you some 2 passages which are very important in the sense that they are height of inspiration when Ashwapati stands before the Supreme Mother and, he prays to the Divine Mother for a boon. Now, before that, there is a long argument by the Supreme Mother persuading Ashwapati not to bother about, solving man's problem because that is in the other book. I looked at it. Now, Ashwapati is praying to the Supreme Mother the mother appears to him and says, "What you have attained is yours." You see, O spirit arisen from the inconscient darkness, or whatever, no soul is thy companion on the heights that you have attained, and whatever you have attained is yours. But ask no more, because mankind is not ready. And untimely, if you bring the light, perhaps it will be too much for mankind to digest. Therefore, it is better you leave the slow movement of evolution to work itself out and not press for immediate intervention of divine in the evolutionary process. That is what it comes to ultimately. That you must not ask a divine intervention in hurry, because otherwise the humanity would not be able to bear the descent of the higher power before its time. So she is asking him to continue in the light which he has received, some progress for mankind, some service to knowledge, and something that he can get on with. Well, Ashwapati replies to her now. I will read that reply. How shall I rest content with mortal days and the dull measure of terrestrial things? I who have seen behind the cosmic mask the glory and the beauty of thy face. Ashtapati is telling the Divine Mother. How long shall we have to bear this yoke of night and death and so on? We who are the vessels of a deathless force. And then he asks that we are trying and struggling, and in this struggle of man, where is the sign of any divine intervention? Where is the ray of thy coming and so on? Or if it is thy work that I do below, why do I not see any sign of your being with me? Where is the thunder of thy victories, car? I do not see the victory of the divine approaching. The eons ever repeat their changeless round. All we have done is ever still to do. All breaks and all renews and is the same. The newborn ages perish like the old. Man struggles a little, works a little, hope, future man, perfection, and so on. I know that thy creation cannot fail, because I have seen, he describes a vision which he has seen, you see, that there is a forerunner of the divine multitudes are coming. Architects of immortality are descending into man. And they will do the work of perfecting mankind, so to say. And then he appeals to the Supreme Consciousness by praying to her at the end of his argument with her, O truth, defended in thy secret Son, voice of mighty musings on shut heavens, on things withdrawn within her luminous depths, O wisdom splendor, mother of the universe, creatrix, eternal's artist bride, linger not long with thy transmuting hand, pressed vainly on one golden bar of time, as if time dare not open its heart to God. O radiant fountain of the world's delight, world free and unattainable above, O bliss, who dwellest deep, hid within, while men seek thee outside and never find, mystery and muse with hieratic tongue, incarnate the white passion of thy force, mission to earth some living form of thee, one moment fell with thy eternity, let the infinity in one body live, all knowledge wrap, one mind in seas of light, All love throbs single in one human heart. Immortal, treading the earth with mortal feet. All heaven's beauty crowd in earthly limbs. Omnipotence, girdle with the power of God, movements and moments of a mortal will. Pack, pack with eternal might, one human hour, and with one gesture change all future time. Let a great word be spoken from the heights, and one great act unlock the doors of faith. His prayer sank down in the resisting night, opposed by the thousand voices that deny. And then the Divine Mother makes a reply to Ashtapadi's question. Yes. O strong forerunner, I have heard thy cry. One shall descend and break the iron law. Change nature's doom by lone spirit's power. A limitless mind that can contain the world. A sweet and ardent and violent heart of hardened calm, moved by the passion of the gods, shall come. All mights and greatnesses shall join in her. Beauty shall walk celestial on the earth. Delight shall sleep in the cloudnet of her hair and in her body, as on his homing tree, immortal love shall beat his glorious wings. A music of griefless things shall weave her charm. Harps of the perfect shall attune her voice. The streams of heaven shall murmur in her laugh. Her lips shall be the honeycombs of God. Her limbs his golden jars of ecstasy. Her breast the rapture flowers of paradise. She shall bear wisdom in her voiceless bosom. Strength shall be with her like a conqueror's sword, and from her eyes the eternal bliss shall gaze. A seed shall be sown in death's tremendous hour, a branch of heaven transplanted to human soil. Nature shall overleap her mortal step. Fate shall be changed by an unchanging will. There you find some description of what Ashwapati asked and what boon was given. And then at the end of the book, Savitri says, O word, cry out the immortal litany. Built is a golden tower, the flame child born. Even humanity will awaken to the deepest self. Well, that is a long passage in which Savitri affirms the coming down of the supreme light in her and Satyavan, and they're working for the perfection of mankind and creating for humanity the divine life on earth. There you get some concept of Savitri. Because it's an outline, in 2 or 3 days you can't get anywhere near Savitri. That's difficult. Well, you get something about what it deals with. You get an idea, rough outline. This was from the last book. The last passage I read from the last book. The first, in between what I read from the third book. The Ashtapadi's prayer is in the third book, and the granting of the boon is in third book, fourth canto. And the last which I read now, O word, cry out the immortal litany, is in the 11th book. Last, when the whole process ends and the victory is won, so to say. Built is the golden tower. You see, she has conquered death, and the golden tower is built by the supreme light. 11th book of
prayer, Master Bhante.
Prayer of Ashwapati, third book, fourth canto.
Third book.
Fourth canto. You can't have the whole thing. Each canto, I have taken 1 year and 9 months. So you can understand from there how much it can, every day 1 hour. 1 full year and 9 months. Continuously, daily 1 hour.
Probably when you were with Spain, when you were reading about Spain, that this world situation really, could we think of it as birth pain?
Yes, of course we can. Certainly it is. The present world situation is certainly the birth pang of a new era or new age. Of course.
I didn't think of Sri Aurobindo's message as a voice saying something similar to "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven."
Yes.
As it is in the heavenly context. He's saying from the east, isn't he? Reiterating that thing. Reiterating from the east that same message, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in the heavenly context."
Because the world situation requires. The world situation requires the message, you see, yeah. Because there is a need, therefore it has come, really speaking. Asking yesterday, I'll give one line, it explains nicely, you see. Ashwapati is looking, when he has reached the transcendent consciousness, he is looking down, you see, from the plane of the motherhood, so to say, the house of the spirit. Then suddenly there came a downward look. Ashwapati looked down, as if a sea exploring its own depths. You follow the image properly? Huh? Yes. Suddenly there came a downward look, as if a sea exploring its own depths. And then what did he see? A bliss, a light, a power, a flame white love, caught all into a soul immense embrace. When he looked down from transcendent height, he saw that it was caught all into a soul immense embrace. The great world rhythms were heartbeats of one soul. To feel was the flame discovery of God. All mind was a single harp of many strings. You understand? Yes, that's it. All life a song of many meeting lives. For worlds were many, but the self was one. And marriage with eternity divinized the time.
Where is that from? Where is that in the book?
That will be in the first book, I think.
First book?
First book. I think so, the first book.
The sea started out with the...
There came a downward look.
Yes.
You see, as if a sea exploring its own depths.
Yeah.
You see?
His character in his poem, the earth as he passed through the forest. His poems show stated conflict of the realization. His character.
No, each character typifies one line of growth, you see.
As the Queen Mother has of the earth.
Yes. The king passes through one stage, Savitri passes through another, penetrating into the cosmic constitution. Ashwapati is expanding into the cosmic and the transcendent and so on. And knowing the constitution, he tries to fulfill the mission that is given to him of progress towards the light. And in that progress, he requires the help of the divine. So he prays for the divine's help, and the help is given to him in the form of a boon that Savitri will be born to help man to solve the problem of ignorance and death. And Savitri is born. And then she sees the constitution of the universe as imperfect and brings the perfect divine consciousness into nature of man so as to realize for man immortality. Immortality is another word for divine consciousness.
And then she overcomes death.
Death, yes. Death in life, on earth. Yes, that's it. This possibility of change of whole human nature from its present condition into a possibly more perfect divine nature was not envisaged by any seer before. That is the special contribution of Sri Aurobindo, because it can be now given to mankind. If it was given before, perhaps mankind would not have understood it. The necessity of transformation, one, the process of transformation, two, and how to do it, and that it is possible, well, it was not known in that way before. The way in which it is now given to mankind, you see, that human nature also is capable of liberation and perfection, and that perfection consists in a transformation, not rejection of nature, but transformation, not a control only. You see, not a behavior according to a pattern of ethics and morality, but a free expression of the divine in man with the divine nature. The divine has the divine nature, which man can also substitute by replacing his human nature by the elements of the divine nature within him. That is how the kingdom has to come. The idea of the kingdom was there, the process of the kingdom was not there. And it is now given to mankind to fill up that thing, you see. The total idea of what is the kingdom of heaven. Then there is a perfection of knowledge, perfection of will, perfection of aesthetic life and plenty of life, and perfection in material life. Then you have got four aspects in which it is perfection is realized. Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati. The aspect of the Supreme that are perfect. You see, this never was given before. That is why I particularly point out, because people think it's the same message. Yes, it is the same message, and so much amplified as to become quite a new message. So much filled up there with the content that you would say, oh yes, this is quite new in one sense. You see, the Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati and Maheshwari. These are the aspects of the supreme wisdom, power, aesthesis or harmony, and perfection in work. Physical and material work perfect, harmony and love in life, you see, and cooperation, will irresistible, and knowledge without any falsehood or darkness. For this knowledge aspect, will aspect, harmony and beauty aspect, and perfection in material organization. These four aspects of the divine which are there have to be brought by a human being into his life, so that a man who is now full of knowledge will have to bring the Maheshwari into his consciousness so that she may give him knowledge. The one who is dedicated to machinery will have to bring the Mahasaraswati, perfect detail organization in material life, so as to make matter the real, the receptacle of the spirit, so to say, matter to express the spirit perfectly. Well, that is how the four aspects of the divine nature have to come into human being and embody themselves in humanity's work. Then humanity will have perfection, you see. The one who is dedicated to machinery will have to bring the Mahasaraswati, perfect detail organization in material life, so as to make matter the real, the receptacle of the spirit, so to say, matter to express the spirit perfectly. Well, that is how the four aspects of the divine nature have to come into human being and embody themselves in humanity's work. Then humanity will have perfection, you see. It is in the book Mother, 6th chapter. You read the 6th chapter of book Mother and you will get this aspect. Very small book. The 6th chapter gives you this aspect. You see, four aspects of the Supreme Mother: Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati. Knowledge, willpower or force, harmony and love, and perfection of life means fullness of life, and perfection in material work. So matter, life, power, and knowledge. Each aspect of human expression has perfection there, and that perfection has to be brought into mankind, you see. So the perfection of mankind and perfectibility of life, individual life and collective life, well, it is a filled up concept now, you see. See the problem of pain, for instance. Now, pain was regarded as something which has to be solved. Somebody solved it in one way, another way. Now you have an idea that pain is an intermediate condition chosen by the soul freely for its growth from inconscience to light. Therefore, he has selected ignorance and pain to go through. It is not somebody has imposed and said, "Oh, you will suffer indefinitely," and there is no. There is a solution out of it. Pain can be completely eliminated. It's not necessary to go through the process of pain at all. If the divine nature comes into life, you see?
No.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's it. And that is the solution, therefore. The solution is not to reject pain and say, all right, we run away from life and say, oh, pain is always there, therefore let me retire. That's not the solution. Because the origin of pain is somewhere in the choice of the soul himself. The fall was selected because the adventure of the unknown. You see, taking up matter as or inconscience as a adventure, and then in that adventure it is selected that what might be suffering and pain and ignorance, well, we'll have to come in as an intermediate stage, that's all, so that it becomes only a temporary state through which man has to pass, or humanity is passing, or each individual has to pass, but he can pass beyond. And you find expression of people who have passed beyond. It's not merely a statement of a wish or an ideal. You see, for instance, in the Upanishad, you find that riti, oh, I have become the immortal, I have overcome the ignorance and pain. You see, when it says that it is all delight and delight and delight, he is speaking of an experience. So people there are who have gone through this formula and through this rung of the difficulty of ignorance and death, and have gone beyond it. So pain has been overcome in certain cases. Well, in that case, one has to see whether how far now mankind can open itself to this new truth and work out problem of pain. It is not that in one day it will be done. This elimination of it is not a question of one day, but a question is of a long trial. Just as in course of evolution, you don't take up a immediate solution. If it is not solved, then it is not. In a big problem like that, you have to allow centuries to intervene before you can do. Just as in science, you have to wait for some time before some discovery is perfected, isn't it? I mean, how many people died before aeroplane became a success? From the 18th century almost or so, they were flying with hydrogen. You remember? Yes, in France, and so many people died. They didn't know how to control the coming down. You see, but ultimately it did lead to success, isn't it? Well, in the same way, the elimination of pain will take time. It is not that tomorrow you will be free from pain, but then you have to see that that has to be done. Well, in that case, you apply, and gradually, one by one, the problem will be solved ultimately till the solution is found.
That's the thing too, Purani, understanding why pain is here makes it easier to accept it. It gives one a different attitude.
Yes, yes.
Makes it easier to
Your
accept
attitude
it.
changes towards it. Your attitude changes. Yes, quite.
Mhm.
And therefore, this incident also wears out. You see, it doesn't become so acute.
No.
When it comes, you know that it has come for teaching something, teaching an attitude, to understand. And immediately the incidence of pain, the sharpness of it is worn out.
Sri this is demonstrated very properly in the Middle Ages now, in this concept, particularly in women who have great organization, who had ability to organize, and in almost every case, these women didn't go off into private ecstasies of their own. They did, but they always brought it down to a very concrete definition of life. And they found its memories, they found its hospitals.
Mm.
They got right down to humanity.
Yeah.
And they never ceased to work till the day of their death. But they held their meditation.
Mm.
But I yet to read of a great saint, or any great person, or any person who realizes this power and tremendously beat them with the ordinary human life, who didn't do something concrete with it.
No, that because life is a field for expression, so life will be always dealt with. By a true spiritual person, life will be always dealt with. Life will not be allowed to remain what it is to the extent that he can do it with the divine help. The spiritual person always tries to bring into life a new stream or a new current to the extent that he is destined or made to do by the divine. Always, no spiritual person lives life alone. He always acts upon life and reacts to life's, shocks. That is the one mission of spiritual persons to take part in life. He may take part in life by saying you give up life. He may take part in life by saying give it up, but he does always take part in life.
One way or another, yeah.
He has to. Well, yes.
Humanity and its problems.
Yes.
In solitude and like
yes. Yes.
tree or needle did.
Yes.
Or else he has an aspiration.
Yes. He has at least brought one institution into existence which shows that it could be tried. I don't say it succeeds, but at least you could try. You wouldn't dare to think of it if he had not tried. An institution which shows that man can try. It's a big thing. Such a big thing, if somebody says it can be tried, it's a very great thing. Because it's a rare one who can make even a trial. It isn't easy.
I was thinking of this problem and of destiny. I'm trying to get your ideas on it. Now I have.
Yes, you have Sherlock's idea better than mine. Anyway.
Wonder if I can take the liberty of reading the sentences that I wrote down. All right?
Yes, what he put there was the growth of man from inconscience to light. That is destined. That is destined. The events and the occurrences and the experiences that come are of secondary importance. What happens is not important. Which direction one is going is important. And that is destined. There is a will that is at work which will push man toward the realization of the ultimate truth. You cannot escape. That is the destiny.
They have to go through more than one life.
That may be thousands of lives, but that is destined. That is line of destiny, you see. Successfully evoke the divine in the individual who is suffering, the individual may be helped to the maximum extent to get over his disease. I don't say that it succeeds in all cases, but much greater help will be rendered to him if an appeal is made to the divine in him and divine is evoked into him. Hospital or medical science, admits the possibility of such a intervention from inside, the quicker would be the cure and the large number of cure also. Rather than depend on only material remedies, you see, on all external things only. External things have a place, but the inner factor is a very much more powerful factor than people have thought and known up till now.
How about the healers that they claim that they have power?
Yes, that comes from the vital world. Men like QA, for instance, Dr. Emil QA, suggestion and auto-suggestion. He had some great power already brought with him, I think, from the vital world, and it was miraculous cures he did, most miraculous cures. If you read cases which are reported, with everything authentic, I mean, it's not a... He was a French doctor, Emile QA, his book, Suggestion and Auto-Suggestion, yes. People who follow him are not able to do as much as he did. They are not able to do. But he was a remarkable man in the sense that he had opening to this vital world and some being was coming through and it had the power, so it was working out. Remarkable cure. People with rheumatism coming unable to walk back to their house. Most remarkable, a lady is coming and praying, asking that we can't, kneel down for prayer. Well, when he had made the pass, he first put them in hypnotic condition, and then after the pass, he said, now kneel down if you like. Kneel down. Even I think paralysis was cured like it. Case of paralysis. Remarkable cure.
Did these people though have some spiritual realization?
No.
Is that the real answer?
So the vital world is a big universe, idea of that terrible world. If when it projects itself with negative sign, it creates what Hitler did in the world. So you can understand what world is capable of.
Then you wonder if that's really.
But there are good spirits also. I mean, not that all are that. There are good spirits who just try to exercise their force here and be worshipped a little, and they are quite happy.
That might be, though, might that not be, I should put it that way,
Huh?
might that not be interference rather than real healing? Because the only real healing would be a divine realization, wouldn't it? Or a realization of the divine.
No, man wants to be relieved of his physical evil, and if somebody intervenes and relieves him, well, it's all right.
All right, you.
This Indra Devi, the one you were talking about, the one that has this ashram or
Yes.
down in southern Mexico, she
Yes.
wrote a book,
Yes.
and she told about her own experiences.
Hmm.
And apparently she got involved she made a trip to India, I think, when she was quite a young woman.
Hmm.
And she got involved in some vital experiences.
Hmm.
And she was in quite a bad
Hmm.
state of mind.
Yes.
And she finally went to a yogi, I
Hmm.
think, who more or less
Set her right.
said it right.
Yes, that's it.
And he said this talks about in this book.
Yes, it is possible. It's quite possible. In Tibet also this thing happens very often. Used to happen. Now I don't know what happens, but there is a great intervention of this intermediate world, occult world, you see. And they use remarkable Tibetans could do. Wonderful thing. Wonderful. Vital world is a tremendous thing. I've seen people living without food for 1 year. Without food for 1 year. It's staggering. Get the full supply from that world, all right. Nothing.
Is that through a cause power?
Yes, this vital world, you see, it's a contact of the vital world. It's a tremendous thing. It's a universe. You see, heights like that from here to here. So, very fine beings also inside, and intermediate being, and then lower beings, and then hostile beings. So, from where and who comes and how you get into contact, that is the point, you see. And that's
It's dangerous.
it is. Therefore, spiritual people never recommend it. Never. You go through it and know it, yes, you understand. And you come in contact with beings or forces and you know them, and it's all right. But you keep to your path.
When occultism is not really helping.
Not healthy. Occultism, if one is very honest like a medical man and says, I will help somebody by hypnotic, influence to get over pain and so on, it's all right. Nothing wrong. But if he does it as if he was some, yes, and so on, then it becomes, mixed up, and then it gets into all kinds of complications. It's not good. Meddling in the occult direct wouldn't do any good unless one is, going into for spirituality really. Then he wouldn't begin with the occult, you see. He would begin with spiritual aspiration straight away. If one is for spirituality, one goes to spirituality. One meddles into occult, well, if he does to acquire it like a lawyer who wants to know his law and then apply it like an advocate or a barrister, well, he applies the knowledge of occult life or occult world to some professional work and doing impersonally, it's all right.
Even
It's quite conceivable. I can quite conceive of man who has an occult power, but who is not abnormal. Abnormal in the sense of either thinking that he is a great thing and so on. Nothing. He says, I've got this power. Well, somebody wants advice or ask me to do it, I do it for my fee. Give me this much, I'll do that much for you. That's all.
Like a doctor, like impersonalized.
Yes, yes.
well, then the people use the cult power, and it's actually more or less like using dark force people.
Yes, they do. They can. They can use. This world is full of positive and negative. Huh?
They find out who's going to win the third race at San Louis.
Purani, Marco Polo mentions a trip somewhere near that
Yes, he will.
border of it, and he tells about these activities and the miraculous feats that
Oh yes, they did. That is authentic. There is no superstition about it. They are facts. Question is how far you to give importance to them. That's all. And they could not save Tibet also. You can know from there, you see. That alone is not enough. I wish they had retained their independence to retain the science at any rate. I'm interested in the science. It's a rare science. It's not easy for people to acquire. They had the isolation which was God sent, so to say, because being in the Himalayas, nobody would rush up to bother them. And then in their isolation, they cultivated this faculty. It's a human faculty. It's all humanity's gain. Why should they give it up? We can make some good use of it if it is possible. At least keep the science going. But they are trying to wipe it out, you see. And these are facts. There is no doubt about that, you see. Great powers. You see, they control either some spirit or their own vital being. But they have tremendous powers. There's no doubt about that. Yes, occult, science of occultism. Generally dealing with the vital world, but a very great knowledge. Very great knowledge. They specialize in this line. Specialize in this line. Concentrate on what happens when man dies and where he passes the vital being and follow him and see his what happens to him all along. Keep a guard or keep a contact and you see put themselves out from the body, so to say, exteriorize themselves almost like a materialization and get an experience and come back again to the body and so on. Great powers to stand naked on ice for days together without any clothes, sitting on ice in the winter. Many Tibetans do. There is a process by which an electric current is generated in the nerve, you see, by concentration. And the electric current keeps him quite all right in the midst of ice.
Wasn't proof against the red shine either.
Yeah, that's what I told, that it doesn't work.
Not yet, anyhow. Right, then one advised by all spiritual teachers that not to desire powers. If
Yes,
they come, that's
yes.
one thing. But if one desires powers, that's the sign of ego, isn't it? And not,
Sign of the vital,
Yeah.
yes. That's a sign of possible fall, you see, danger.
danger. Yeah.
It is a danger. Greater power than the universe, the world itself is a great power. That's enough to see that it's a tremendous power is at work.
Right. I'm trying to ask, how many people that don't eat for a year? I mean, you said you've seen them go for a year without
Yes,
food.
yes.
Is there tremendous loss of weight? Do they maintain?
No, maintain normality. Under doctor's observation. I have got the cutting somewhere in my room there in India. In India now. And in the past generation I have known, 40 years back, another educationist who was a reformer and non-believer in this thing. He saw a lady not taking any food and he didn't believe. In the past generation, there was a reformist who did not believe in old Indian traditions and always ridiculed, all these powers. So in his own town, he found his wife telling him that so-and-so is not eating. He said, what, you believe? You are a simpleton, you are a fool. You think that somebody can live without eating? So then she said, no, I have tasted, I have seen that she doesn't eat. There's nothing in her house. So then he said, all right, let her come to our house, and asked her to be her guest and his guest, and she came and remained, and she was not taking anything. He watched all along, he put people, and also he himself kept a watch, and said she's doing nothing and she's quite normal.
No water?
Huh?
How about water?
Water only.
Oh, water.
Yeah. Nothing. Surprising.
Is that true?
And this one that happened now, that is only 4 or 5 years back. From Malayalam, means in Travancore, a young girl of 17 or 18, Lakshmi, well, she went without food for months and months, and doctors examined this, that, and it's all right. Quite all right, nothing happened.
Is that true? Occult forces?
Either some opening to some power unconsciously on her part, because she doesn't claim anything. She's not extraordinary, doesn't do anything out of the run, and doesn't say I am somebody and so on. She doesn't require food. Huh?
It's not a spiritual.
No, nothing spiritual. But she has suddenly opened in the vital world, and some force is pouring into her and maintaining her body. That's all.
Well, what are these forces? What are the messages of these forces?
Well, it
Through her.
depends. That she's not extraordinary at all. The only work is that she doesn't require food. That's only thing that the force seems to do to her. She's quite normal. Goes to do all her works. Reads, writes, and does her work and everything. Nothing. She doesn't feel this is something extraordinary. Very strange.
That reminds me, didn't you tell us, Lenny and Purani, that getting messages is also can be dangerous if one just makes a business of getting messages?
Messages come from all quarters. Even ordinary when man works, something percolates into his mind, you see. And if he wants, generally it is a desire that pulls the reply, you see. Subconscious desire pulls the reply, either from the world of ignorance or from the outer world. If one wants a message, from where does he want a message? It depends, you see. And then what kind of message he wants. Very often people have a subconscious desire. You see, even when a man prays to God for something, he has whatever you say, I will accept. But there is a reservation in mind that I wish he could say yes to this thing. You see, like that. There is always this idea. And it's that which pulls the reply, you see, very often.
So you get the satisfactory reply the way you want it.
Very often, yes, very often. Only if it is appeal to the divine, you don't get it. You see, divine will not deceive you. He will not reply to what you want always. And that is why people don't like easily to pray to the divine, because all their prayers are not granted.
Being flavored with ego is apt to be risky, isn't it? If you're on the spiritual path.
Yes.
Right, this going without view
Yes.
would tend to deny doctors give you one diet here. Now there's been a very recent safflower oil that you just eat lots of meat and safflower.
Regime. And she followed and she went on putting weight. So she said, well, it's the same thing is happening if whether I take this. I said, even if you take stone, you will put on weight. So don't worry.